Hi, my name is Hector De La Rosa, and I'm the co-writer and the director of Bloody Spurs, the vampire western set in 1874. How did this idea come about? Well, my wife Gail, who's the effects makeup artist and also a wonderful sketch artist, a few years ago came to me with some drawings that she had done. Okay, about 4 or 5 of them. There was some vampires, and with guns and cowboy hats, and it was just really intense. And she kept drawing these pictures. I mean, she was on this binge for drawing cowboys with fangs and guns, and she kept drawing more and more of them, and it evolved into a kind of a small comic strip. And then we gave it some dialogue, and then we were looking at it, and it evolved yet again into a short story. And we kept looking at it, and we wanted to see if we could make a full-blown project. So it took Gail about, I would say about 6 months to draw these really detailed and compelling storyboard images. And every day it grew, and we stuck the pages together, put them in the binder and in a sleeve every day. The book got fatter and fatter and fatter. By the time 6 months rolled around, it was about 4 inches thick, okay, full of these drawings, okay, and it still needed more. But what we learned was that we had a little preview of Bloody Spurs, and we got to look at it, and that was something that we never did before with our smaller projects. But what this did was it made the script grow. Okay, we knew what we needed to add, what we needed to take away. Okay, and that was a wonderful tool. Okay, we needed more gore, we added more gore. We needed a few more characters, we added that too. Imagery, we added that. We added the atmospheric drawings. That we want this movie to be very atmospheric, so we do everything in a way that it's really spooky. It's probably going to be filmed during the dry season, so everything is like dead, and the lighting is just it's going to be key. We picked a scene from the storyboards, okay, that we figured we could probably do because it was the least involved, but I guess we learned in the end that it was probably the most involved, and it was the cabin, the witch's cabin, the inside. We went to my friend, who's also the producer, Matthew Gooley, and he let us film in his garage. So we used his garage, half of it anyway, and we transformed half of his garage into the inside of this witch's cabin, okay? And for months, we went back and forth. We were about an hour and a half away. We were living in Hamilton, New Jersey, and he lived in Stroudsburg, and about an hour and a half, and we were trekking back and forth, every weekend for 2 months. And we would go to he knew a guy that ran a mill, and they gave him 6 to 8 feet long pieces of half trunks, had all the bark on it, and we go there and we build these frames of 2x4s, and we'd screw all these pieces of wood on. By the time we were done, each one weighed about 400 pounds, and we had to position them into walls. And a lot of the work he did when we weren't even there, he'd do this stuff, and he did all our carpentry, and he fixed everything to the wall and secured it. And then when we would go and we built a door and a window, and everything started coming to life. You can see it in the pictures, from the before and after pictures. I mean, it's incredible. We had all the wood in his driveway. We had, for weeks, people thought this guy was, I don't know what he thought. They thought he was doing. They thought he was nuts. He had tons of wood in his and Halloween season was right around the corner. So he figured if he had the set built, he would at least have a Halloween attraction for the kids when they came trick-or-treating, which probably he did anyway. But it was just incredible. And we built the set, and we did all the practical effects. We did the corpses, we did the skulls, we adorned it with every little thing we could find. We would go to the Goodwill stores, get candles, and anything that would fit, furs and all kinds of stuff. And the inside of the cabin looked like it was legit. It was in 1874. It was dirty and grimy. And the last day I went in there I bought this stuff called web goo, and attached to the drill, and I went to town on it, webs everywhere, and it looked so great. But then the crowning jewel was Victoria Stevens, who my wife Gail did the makeup effects for her, did a mold of her face, made a witch prosthetic, and dressed her up in the living room. But she was in the living room of Matt's house, and in full light. So it looked like a costume, was scary. But when she stepped into the set, she had these whiteout contacts. She couldn't see in front of her, so we had to guide her in. And when she sat down in the chair at the table that we built, and the lights were on her, it was all candlelit, it just popped, and everybody was like, wow, jaw dropping. She looked incredible. And then when she performed, she was the witch. She did such a wonderful job. And I was in makeup. I was the big brooding cowboy that was in front of her, Wade. And we went back and forth, and we were filming, and it was really tough because I guess that day it was like everybody had their lawnmowers everybody mowed the lawn at the same time. So every time I would talk, all you would hear was a lawnmower. So, we had to do a reshoot for my stuff. I had to go in, and but when I was shooting with her, I would get my lines, but I also had a cigar. I had this big smoldering weed in my mouth, and it was, in an enclosed space. So after a while, I started getting sick, and it was just like really in character. So the smoke that you see and everything is really there. I mean, everything is practical. It's all there, and I put myself through nauseous fits just to get this thing done, and it was fun. It was all worth it. And then the next time we went, of course I had to do all her POV shots looking at me, so I did all my dialogue over, but there were still problems because people were driving by. I mean, remember, it's just set in a neighborhood. People drive by with their cars, with their music, and everything's going blazing, some lawnmowers. So in the end, after we edited everything else, and I couldn't get rid of all those artifacts in the audio, I had to dub over about 80% of my lines, and took my time with it and pieced it together in a way where it synced very well with my lips, and the rest is history. But we got 7 minutes of beautiful footage, and we actually really believe that it has so much production value. But right now we want to finish this movie. It's really an awesome project. If you grew up watching westerns and the 60s and 70s, Clint Eastwood and James Coburn, and you have the good, the bad, and the ugly, and then you take the Lost Boys and you mash them together. That's pretty much Bloody Spurs. People that like old westerns, people that like action, people that like gore. There's going to be plenty of gore, lots of gore. We made sure we had plenty of gore into the special effects, into the storyboards. So there's going to be guts, there's going to be blood, there's going to be shooting, there's going to be pistols blazing, knives, fights, all kinds of stuff, and a lot of surprises are going to be in this movie as well. So not only is it going to captivate, seasoned moviegoer, but it's also going to be very welcoming for new audiences. It's going to have everything for everybody. It's just going to captivate audiences when it's done. And like I said, it's a very, very special project. It's a passion project. Bloody Spurs, it has the ability to become a cult classic. Okay, and that's what we want to do. We want to create a movie that people will flock to, people will watch over and over, enjoy it every time they see it, enjoy it more every time they see it. And that's what Bloody Spurs brings to the table. So Cycloptic Films, that's who we are, Cycloptic Props and Effects. Okay, my wife Gail Bykowitz, she's the main makeup artist, and I help out with the props and the costumes and everything else, and we're a collaborative effort. This is a wonderful project, and it needs to see the light of day. And 1874 in the Wild West was a real dangerous time. But if you add vampires and witches and other supernatural creatures, it becomes downright deadly. So we'd like to see you out there helping us and contributing to Bloody Spurs. Okay, thank you for your time, and we'll see you out there. Thank you.